So I'm hoping that they do not blow this third season, especially since they're bringing everyone back.
So, kind of along those lines, I have a draft in my drafts that's repetitive, but it's all about how I think this is gonna sound bad at first, but I think they're pushing out too much track right now. Let me explain.
No,
I
I
wish they
agree.
would focus more on longevity
Right.
and like have one show at a time and be
Hmm.
good for a decade because this is really reminiscent of the TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise overlap.
Hmm.
And it
Mm,
just took one show to totally like give us a drought. And I'm scared we're gonna get another drought.
I partially agree. So I think it's not necessarily the numbers of of shows that are available for watching. I think it's the timing. Like I don't think
Yes,
that the
agree.
releases are like if they stagger them. I
like
know right
that.
now they're basically saying like one season, like once Picard ended that same day, Strange New World started. And right now I think we have like another like month and a half, like maybe like five
Low.
weeks or something before Lower Decks comes back. The way that they originally did it was they had TNG on, and then I think maybe 2 years maybe overlapped. It overlapped a little bit with Deep Space Nine, and Voyager overlapped. I mean, that was quite a bit. That was like maybe I think like 3 or 4 seasons that overlapped.
Yeah.
Um, but Enterprise only overlapped 1 year with Voyager. So it was quite a bit more spaced out. And I think, like you said, like it is a little bit of a saturation, which for people who don't care, like they watch a lot of TV anyway. Like I watch a lot of TV anyway. If I wasn't watching new shows, I would be rewatching the old shows, which I'm still doing. Um, but it is a lot. And I think that's why we are running into this comparison situation. Like it's easier to compare the shows to each other instead of just giving them time to breathe when they're all on at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
not even worried about the fans. I'm worried about the writers running
Okay.
out of ideas because we can, change the words. I think we have similar comments on that.
Yes.
And I think it also goes back to how short all of the seasons are.
Yes.
If they were longer seasons, then I wouldn't be as worried, but because they're shorter seasons, we have to get more seasons to get more track, if that makes sense. Like we have
Hmm.
to get 10 seasons to reach 100 episodes instead of 4 seasons. So it's that mixed with the lack of new plots that really concerns me about the longevity.
Yeah. I think you're obviously yes, you're right. Um, and I think the separation of writers, because I'm not sure there is some overlap, writers writing for multiple series, but I think that comes down to imagination and freedom as well. Is like when you figure out the constraints of your show, just like in the timeline, what characters you're dealing with, if they're planning on bringing in new characters, I think that creates a bubble. Like it creates a bubble for them to be able to work within so that they don't feel like they have to compete with the other shows.
That's what I'm worried about.
Oh, you okay? You don't like that they're different focuses?
No, I like it, but they're all coming at the same time, and they're all different. That's where I'm worried
Okay.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah, because when Voyager and Enterprise they kind of overlap, but they were two completely different tastes of show.
right.
Even with DS9 being very different from TNG, TNG, DS9, and Voyager had a similar kind of look and format to it. It a lot of people come them together for like
Right.
for reasons and like not Enterprise.
Okay, I can
I
get
don't
with
know.
that. TNG, DS9, and Voyager. Even though TNG is clearly the lighter of those three, they did have similar energy I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But our three live action shows have a very different energy, which I like, but I guess I can understand why having them all at the same time seems
Yeah,
like a
I think it's because if they came out at different times, then you could appeal to different fans. You know, when it's more rotational, right?
Mhm.
But I don't see them going having the same pace 5 years in the future. You know,
Correct.
I don't see them having three different tones of three different shows with three different tones five
True.
years from now.
Now for
Instead of if they
that,
released one show a year, then we
More
would be good for like
episodes, please.
yeah, yeah. Then we
like
would be good
yes,
for 10 years, you know, and not have this drought. You know, and this goes back to the generational gap with fandom too.
right.
What you kind of need that longevity so you can get more fans
True.
because I don't know if Star Trek will survive if we have another decade gap
Yeah. A
and
decade
new content.
time. I totally agree. And like I think and I've always wanted there to be more episodes because like obviously once
Yeah.
Enterprise ended and we didn't have anything for a long time, I was still watching those old shows that whole time. They had the Kelvin movies come out. I didn't have Paramount or I didn't have cable, so I didn't watch Discovery until this year, and I watched Picard season 1 in the fall and then this year. But even when I watched Picard in the fall, that story made sense in 10 episodes, um because it was supposed to be a limited series feel. It's we're telling this one story this season and that's it for 10 episodes. That makes sense. But for a show like Strange New Worlds, which they expect to be on for a long time, or at least hopefully, then a 10 season episodes feels very short. And you can even see that throughout the series of Discovery. I really would prefer they
Anymore.
do like 18. Then I think that they could spread it out. Like a show like Strange New Worlds that only has 10 episodes, it's too short for you to really get a good season. It feels like half a season.
Yep.
Um,
And we can talk all day about like production quality, but and I think a lot of people do care about that. But at the
yeah,
same time, I personally rather have twice the amount of episodes with
right,
slightly lower budget
correct.
than than a blockbuster movie production every episode.
True. Because that's really what it feels like. It's like, and I think that as far as the story within the constraints of the production style, like each episode of Strange New Worlds, like it really feels like a 45-minute movie, but it's like I kind of wish that this movie was longer. Like it almost makes me wishing that there was more story in the episode than what we get, because it's so fantastical. Like the beauty is there, but the story seems short for the episode. Like I think at this point, without like, and maybe this is just my style, my personal, like what I like to watch, that if you're gonna have a story, that's why I think like DS9 worked, is because they had episodic B plots and they had some carryover multi episode A plots, that you get more story within your episodes when they carry over instead of just a 45-minute one and done.